Hi there, my name is Miss Chan, and thank you for being here. I'm going to be teaching you the introduction to the unit circle. So this is very exciting. Obviously, I love the unit circle. The unit circle is right here behind me. This is an incredibly important concept to really understand in pre-calculus and calculus. So I hope this video helps you. So the first thing you need to know before learning anything about the unit circle is reviewing some of the coordinate plane. And I know that sounds really simple, but just review really quick. Think about where is -3, -2. So good, -3 would be right here, and -2 would be right here in this blank spot. Where is 0, -1? Is actually right here. So a lot of people mix these two up, but 0 would mean that you're going nowhere left and right, and -1 would mean you're going down -1. Also, it's good to know in the coordinate plane we have 4 quadrants. Notice this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. The reason why they do that is because in the unit circle, they actually have the angle starting here in the bottom of quadrant 1, and then angles will be going around this way towards quadrant 2, then quadrant 3, and then quadrant 4. So things basically taught in algebra are because of the unit circle in pre-calculus. You're doing great so far, so keep going. The reason why it's called the unit circle is because the radius is 1 unit. So imagine drawing a circle where it hits all of the ones around the origin. And if we zoom in, this is essentially what you're looking at when you look at the unit circle. All right, moving on. You got this. So what a lot of math teachers don't tell you is the unit circle is just an infinite amount of coordinates. So just imagine this red circle is just a bunch of different points, a bunch of different dots, all going around the same circle, right? So let's just look at this point, just for fun, and think about what is the coordinate of that point. Go ahead and take a look at it. You can zoom in if you want. You can look closer at the screen. And hopefully you said that one of the coordinates is 0.75 because notice it's to the right 0.75. For the y coordinate, it's a little hard to tell, but I'll go ahead and provide it for you. The y coordinate is 0.66. So what I want you to keep in mind is when you're talking about a coordinate on the unit circle, you're talking about an x and a y coordinate. When you look at this coordinate, notice it also forms a right triangle inside of this circle, just based off of something you learned in middle school. So notice in this right triangle, it has a 90-degree angle. And there's also an angle being formed right here, and I already provided the angle for you. It's about 41.4 degrees. So in the unit circle, you not only have 2 coordinates, but you also have an angle that's all incorporated in this right triangle. You're doing amazing. Keep going. All right, so let's try an example in the second quadrant. I'm going to go ahead and draw a radius right here in green. It's a unit 1 radius. And a lot of my students, when they look at this kind of angle, they always look at this angle, and that is very common, but unfortunately that's not what you want to look at. Remember, this is a coordinate, so you're always looking at the x coordinate, which is, in this case, 0.25 in the negative direction. And also, it's a y coordinate in the positive direction of 0.97. So notice in the second quadrant, it's a little different. You still have a right triangle, but the angle you look at is actually the distance between this radius to the x-axis. And in this case, it's 75 degrees. Keep this in mind because later you're going to be using sine, you're going to be using cosine, and notice that only works with right triangles. Let's do an example in the third quadrant. Notice that I spun the entire radius all the way around. That's greater than 180. But we're actually not going to pay too much attention to that angle because we want to just look at this right triangle being formed with this coordinate. So notice this coordinate is negative 0.5, negative 0.866. So it's in the third quadrant. Both of the coordinates are negative, and we're focusing on this angle, which is 60 degrees. Overall, I want you to understand two main things about the unit circle. One, that in any coordinate around the unit circle, you always have an x and a y coordinate. The second thing is, wherever your coordinate is, you can always form a right triangle based off of the x and the y coordinates. The x coordinate being these pink lines and the y coordinates being these blue lines. Also, it's good to keep in mind that all of these coordinates are the same as in middle school. It's always positive over here, always negative over here. On the top left, the x coordinates are negative, but on the bottom right, the y coordinates are negative. All right, you are ready to learn about the unit circle. One last thing, the unit circle, they give you lots of coordinates. So notice all of these fraction coordinates right here, and don't be scared. Notice if I look at this coordinate, negative square root 3 over 2, comma, negative 1/2, notice it's the same thing as negative 0.5, negative 0.866. So it's not too scary, it's just in fraction form, which is a little scary, I admit. But you got this. Thank you so much for caring about learning. And my students told me to say this, but remember to like, comment, and subscribe!